Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back to CD Burners.
I want to start off. Let me start
Start it off.
Let me start this episode off with just some lyrics. I just want to start off, if that's okay with everybody. Middle finger in the air if your pussy is tight. All the boys are getting hard, down to fuck tonight. One thing on my mind, drink the city dry. Do it all, in the stall, one boy at a time. Pull it up, pull it out. Pull it. Flashing cameras all around. You want this bomb-ass pussy, smashing bottle, doing lines. Popping pills and getting high. I'm so fucked out of my mind.
Today, we are talking about the Millionaires Cash Only, which we are kind of breaking the rules because this was never released as a CD, I don't believe. I think this was only a digital self-release. And
it's also it's like short, you know?
Yeah, it's like an EP. It's not a full length. So this is the first time that we've done an EP. So breaking our own rules, but we made the rules, so they are meant to be broken.
I texted you something yesterday that I was like, when I was listening to this album, which is Millionaires Cash Only. This album should be hung in the Louvre. It's fucking awesome. Like I gotta tell you guys, like, you know, we do, like, even though it doesn't sound like it, even though it probably doesn't sound like we're doing anything, we do kind of a lot of research on these things to try and make it, you know, right? Even though we say a ton of wrong shit all the time. But this was the most fun I've had researching an album.
This is a very, very interesting album, band, sound. I think this is probably, the Millionaires are underrated. I think there's a lot that they did that shaped pop music in the 2010s, and we can talk about that a little bit later. They were ahead of their time. They definitely defined a genre. Some people call this genre crunkcore. Some would say they are sort of the godmothers of hyperpop. They are groundbreaking.
You saying that and then listening to the album with the lyrics is it's kind of a crazy thing to say. Like, if our parents heard that, the album, you say that, and they would be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, the other thing that I forgot to mention is these women were the original influencers. Like, they were MySpace scene queens. Nowadays, you have all these influencers who are getting big on TikTok or YouTube, and they try to do music. Nobody has ever transitioned from influencer to successful music artist quite like Melissa Marie, Danny Artaud, and Allison Green.
I think it might be safe to say. Like, I think it might be safe to say that they were the first influencers, like, of the digital age. Like, really, I think if I know there was a couple other people that were famous on MySpace during that time, and when we say famous, it's a much different than the famous that we're talking about today. Like, they were, I think, the first fucking influencers, dude. That's a massive thing. And for people that are listening that weren't around during MySpace to understand, because it's hard to differentiate, like what TJ was saying, between like the influencers today and what this was. Like, imagine being the first of what you see every day, all day, and not like really receiving your flowers for it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they
got screwed. So this album, it's not an album. This record, this EP, central themes: drinking, money, partying, sleeping around. The lyrics are abrasive, but they're confident. It's funny. It's not serious. It's horny. It's explicit. It has a lot of really fun songs. Like the whole thing is just fun and like makes you want to go out and party and have a good time.
What was interesting about this, and it's kind of along the lines of like the 303, like this moment in time when this is not like a 303 thing. I'll connect that in a second. But like this moment in time for the scene, this was the scene. Like this, when people say scene, this is what they're referring to.
Yeah. I remember people would be like, "You're not emo. I'm not emo. I'm scene." Or like, there was definitely a difference between scene and emo back then.
And this was that. Like this was that, when you can like kind of directly go back to this moment and kind of see where that split up. Because this does not sound like Drive Like Jehu. This does not sound like Orchid. This doesn't sound like any of like, like it doesn't sound like not Orchid, like all of the original emo band, even though sometimes people call whatever, roast me, I don't give a fuck. But like this doesn't sound anything like that. But we're getting grouped in with it.
Well, the biggest part of that is they got put on Warped Tour. So they put up these songs on MySpace. Melissa had just bought a computer. Her parents bought her a computer for school, a MacBook. It had GarageBand. Her and her sister were messing around in the bedroom, and they made one of their first songs, just uploaded it to MySpace, and it took off. It hit MySpace's top music charts, and the girls very quickly found themselves on Warped Tour, and they were getting put next to all these harder bands. They were playing before A Day to Remember. They would get sandwiched between these like hard bands, and the boys on the tour were not so happy about these girls making this garage band music and straightening their hair. And they would rile up the crowds, and people would throw shit at them. They would call them sluts. Nobody was really nice to them. I mean, the girls said a couple times in like different interviews, they were like, "Oh yeah, like the bands would be nice to us like behind the scenes, like if we saw them in catering and stuff." But then they'd go on stage and they'd rile up the crowd, and then the girls would come out and have to play to like an extremely hostile crowd.
Hostile for a couple of reasons. Like one being that this music does not sound anything like the bands that were coming before or after them. So the fucking tough guys in the mosh pit were like, "What the fuck is this?" The girls were like, "Don't look at those girls," to their boyfriends. So they were getting butt fucked at every single angle. Like it was rough. It was really rough. And we'll talk to Melissa about it, but like, in the interviews I've read and listened to, it sounds like they moved through it with like as much grace and positivity as they could. But no doubt there had to have been some times where they're like, "Fuck this, like fuck all of this shit. Like we're having fun. Like fuck you guys." They really kept the like we're having fun like thing and attitude, and like in interviews, they describe like being at Warped Tour with like them, Jeffree Star, and Broken Side, like at a fucking lunch table, and like just them by themselves. Like they were the outcasts of Warped Tour. They were outcasts of a fucking festival that was made for outcasts. Right? Yeah. Like that's fucking wild.
A tough place to be.
A tough place to be. Because in the moment you can't recognize that stuff. Like what we were saying earlier is like really being the first of something that is so important and not fitting in and nobody recognizing that, and like regardless of like it's a very strange, they're a very strange band for that reason. It's like nobody recognized that they
really were pushing everything so far ahead of their time. Like they were charting on MySpace like in 2008, 2009. And I'm so curious, like when you talk to Melissa, you got to ask her about that time period, because from my perspective as somebody who works in, music industry now, and like how quickly, people now get like snatched up and signed off of TikTok. I'm wondering, like, were the label executives like knocking on their door saying like, we want you to come sign to Warner Brothers, we want you to do this, or was the mainstream were the label execs, the A&Rs just like so turned off by their explicit lyrics and their abrasive sound that they were just like, this is not appealing for mainstream. And then you see in 2012, Kesha comes out of the Dr. Luke factory, which is a carbon copy of the Millionaires, stealing the whole aesthetic, and it becomes like the biggest pop song in the world. And I'm just curious, like, did they ever have that opportunity placed in front of them, and then they just said, no, we're not going to change. We're not going to censor ourselves. We're not going to change our lyrics. We're not going to go for a more polished sound? Or was the industry just not interested?
I'll ask her. We'll ask her, and we will find out. So stay tuned to the end of this fucking podcast. So, because I'll ask her all of this shit. I got to tell you, like I said in the beginning, this time was like at my peak. Though
what does that mean? At your peak of what?
Memories, nostalgia, like the times that I look back on and really remember, and like,
I had no idea that you were a scene kid.
There's something I want to talk a little bit about what this was like in Hollywood at this time. And this is like where I go into my Hollywood has lost its charm situation, but like this was our friend Keith ran something called Club Moscow in Hollywood for a while. And this was where all of the scene kids went. And like Sonny would go there, all of them First to Last guys would go there, Millionaires would go there, Tila Tequila would go there. And at the time, my girlfriend, I won't say her name on this, but I have many times before, just because, whatever, Annie Walters, my first girlfriend was like, she was trying to she moved to LA because she wanted to be a singer, and she became best friends with Tila Tequila. So when I would come to LA, that was my crowd. That was my first taste of what Hollywood scene, entertainment, everything was. And it was so electric. It was such a fucking...
Were you like wearing stunna shades?
I never did stunna shades. I pretty much like look. I pretty much wear the same thing that
Were you straightening your hair
yes,
at this time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like this was that time, dude. Like where everybody looked seen.
Was it big? Like
yeah,
did you tease it up?
Definitely moments. Like in my senior picture, it was like
teased.
Yeah. Like this was more of my scene, just because that's what I was hanging out with. Dude, I remember this time, like we came to Hollywood, and my girlfriend at the time is best friends with Tila, and I've never met a famous person before in my entire life. You know, like this is big for me. Like this is like really, really big for me. And it's also big for Tucson, right? Like it's a small town. Somebody left. They're friends with somebody who's like kind of, popping on this brand new thing, the internet, that like with social media, like it's a really electric time. And like the Club Moscow and that scene during this time of my life, like doing the research to this brought me back more than any of the other albums we've reviewed.
Wow.
Dude, I remember there was a time where I'll tell a couple of stories. I don't like keep in mind, guys, my memory's not that great. I smoked drugs off foil for a decade. I'm cooked. So some of this stuff might be a little wonky, but I remember I came to LA. I remember we went out to Moscow or some party, and I remember waking up in Hollywood in between my girlfriend and Tila Tequila. And like we didn't do anything because we were all fucked up. We were Zanny bars and shit. Like that was like what I think she was really into at the time. And I remember this moment, and like when I think of Hollywood, like when I think of like that was like I was like, oh my God, like I feel a part of.
Yeah,
Like
you're living the Hollywood dream.
I feel a part of. Like it was the first time at this time where I really felt a part of. And, you know, that was in at that Ralph's, like, you know where the Ralph's is on like Vineland and in the Valley? Like Annie Walters, like her and her sister lived like right across the street from that. And I was so amazed, dude. I lived in Tucson. When this Ralph's had a salad bar, I didn't realize that like grocery stores could have I thought this was the nicest grocery store in the entire world. I thought that Ralph's was like the nicest place because it had a salad bar. And like I would, you know, because we'd walk across the street and like it was just such a, you know, when she was trying to be a singer, we'd go out in clubs, like meeting people. And like this was my introduction to that. Like this is when I met Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is like all that time. And I didn't live in LA. Like I had to go back to Tucson, you know? And so I was in Tucson, like dreaming of living that lifestyle because I had a little bit of a taste. I had a tiny taste of what that felt like. And listening to this album, like, got me more nostalgic, brought back more memories, and brought back way more shit than any of the other albums we've been listening to. And I would have never guessed that in a million years.
That is wild. That is really wild.
Million years, I would have never been like, dude, the Millionaires album like brought me back to one of the most special times of my life. Probably the reason like why I am sitting here. Like if you look at like the trajectory of what I did with my life, and if I had taken a different turn and not woken up in the middle of fucking Tila Tequila and Annie Walters, like that one night, like who the fuck knows? I might be, you know, dude, I wouldn't be here. And like it kind of, this era in time defined my life.
Wow. I had no idea. That is amazing.
It's really strange because Tila was super fucking nice, dude. She was not like this alt-right weirdo Nazi that she is now. Like she was this really sweet, like kind, you know, you know, it was hard being around her because I was a little starstruck.
Yeah, I bet.
Like,
I bet. Being
was,
like from Tucson, and
yeah.
she's like the #1 most famous person on MySpace, and you're like in Hollywood hanging out with her and partying with her and literally waking up next to her. Yeah.
Like I was really starstruck.
Yeah, I bet.
And it was like, I don't remember feeling that way ever again. Like ever again. And I don't know if it's because it was like a pivotal like moment in development as a person at the right time. You know, like I don't know if it's because my age, or like it was just all of the perfect storm to have that feeling stick with me because I don't remember a lot of stuff. And like I distinctly, like the fact that I can remember that like that Ralph's had like salad and I thought that was so nice and fancy. And like that's what I thought Hollywood was, by the way. That like I think it's like Vineland and Ventura and Vineland. That's like what I thought Hollywood was. Like I was
not even close.
I know, but that's like where we would go back to.
Right.
That's like where we would stay. And like I don't know, man. Like so when I first moved to LA, that's like where I tried to move. I tried to move in that area because it was like
that's what you knew.
That's what I knew.
Well, 2010 was a great year for Morgan, but it was a tough year for the Millionaires. They faced a lot of challenges this year. Not only were they getting booed off of Warped Tour, they lost a band member. They did get signed to a record label in the UK called Be Unique Records. They moved over there, started working with them, and they put out one song. And I think the label like paired them up with a couple of writers and like an actual real producer. And they put it out, but it was kind of too much for Danny Artaud. She walked away from the band. And Melissa and Allison, they were just like, all right, well, I guess we have to scrap the whole full length that we were working on with the label. Label dropped them. And then they put out this EP.
Melissa and her sister like did that song in their bedroom, and then like the next day I think Danny joined.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, let's do this fucking thing. You know? It was like, let's be a band. And like, look, at the time, another reason why the Millionaires is so fucking special and interesting and unique and ahead of its time is they were girls. Like they were girls doing this thing on a very, very, very like male dominated space. Things that they were singing about and writing songs about was so far and vastly different than all of the other things that were coming out at the time. So like explicit, it was like more rap, you know, it was like really more rap.
It's like talk singing, which is like what Kesha ends up doing 2 years after this album comes out.
And Asian. 3 things like so ahead and different of what this time period was. Understandably, this was like a youthful this was a development period for everybody, so like things that were different and didn't fit in the thing, you naturally are like, and if this person doesn't like it, I'm not gonna like it. And then, but I wish that people had the foresight to see how like important this was. But I want to talk about the like the Kesha stuff. When I was listening to the Millionaires, in my head I was like, I had a quote that I was gonna say in this thing, and it was the quote that Paper used. It was it was the title of the article that Paper wrote, and it was "The Millionaires Walked so Kesha could run," and that describes exactly to a T what the Millionaires were. And you have like probably a better like timeline of this and a little bit more information.
I really don't. I just remember being my senior year of college when TikTok by Kesha came out. So that was 2012, and then this album came out 2010. So I don't know too much more than that. I know that it is pretty well. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Dr. Luke listened to the Millionaires, stole their whole sort of talk singing type thing, and like kind of censored it a little bit, made it a little bit more palatable for pop radio. And the Millionaires never really got their flowers for it.
And if you guys are just like, you know, just average music enjoyers and you like don't really know who Dr. Luke is like a very gigantic producer. He's produced a bazillion things, right? And he's known in the music industry for like copy pasting, and being a motherfucker, like stealing songs, stealing shit. And this is like he stole an identity from somebody and gave it, and he had the power to push that to radio. And there is no doubt in my mind that this is that. And the fact that like, you know, they had to have been like, at the time they were salty about it.
But yeah, Melissa like literally went out and said some crazy shit when she heard Kesha, which I would too. Like, think about how mad we get when we see like knockoff fucking Emo Nites. Like this is a blatant ripoff. Dude,
okay, so this is another reason why like I was really loved this, right? Like they reminded me so much of us. Like there were so many things that like parallels between us and Emo Nite is like they kept getting booked between like hard bands. At Warp they were booed and it was fucked. Like remember when we did the Good Charlotte and like Story So Far? Like we were put in between those two bands, and like dude from Story So Far, God bless him, he's like my favorite musician and songwriter in the entire world. But it was fucked up. He pulled out the cord like while we were on stage, dude. Like this is how they were being treated, because it was like it was something new that like the audience wasn't receptive. Like they also started out as like a silly thing that turned into a real thing. You know, it was like we were like, oh, let's just play songs at a bar. They were like, let's just record these fucking songs on our MacBook and put it out. And then turned into a thing where they had to like be like, oh fuck, quickly start making decisions that like we were absolutely like kind of not really prepared for.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you watch their TRL performance, like
the Millionaires are on TRL?
Yeah. They're on TRL, dude.
I didn't see that one.
And if you look at TRL, they are so goddamn ahead of their time. They are dressed exactly like how everybody's dressing now for indie sleaze. They had friendship bracelets that, like, I don't know if friendship bracelets like fans gave to people were around that time, but their fans gave them friendship bracelets and they're on TRL at that time. Like, that is fucking, they are so ahead of their goddamn time. There's a really, like, great quote from some review I read that was like, if you like them, if you don't like them, you're probably too old. Like, and I was like, Yeah, you're probably right. But like it recognized like the importance of the Millionaires. Like I just think that even if it's not your thing, like right, like I don't think that the Millionaires is for everybody. I really don't, especially like in our. Actually, I kind of do.
I don't know if they're for everybody. But I do think that you can look at it objectively and see its place in like modern pop history and recognize its importance.
Dude, I think one of the biggest things that is important, like there's two things, right? Like two really huge things is that they were the first influencers. Like they were the first influencers. Like fuck it, they were. And they literally changed the course of like pop music, but nobody knew. And that's like a rough place to live in. And like at the, I think they did end up finding out about the Kesha, like how she was trapped in this record deal, like this fucking deal, like Luke signed her for like 6 albums or something like that. And they didn't know that. They didn't know that he like pretty much held everybody captive. Like his fucking.
Yeah, well, when it was like all coming out that he was super abusive and stuff,
Yeah.
Melissa and the girls spoke out in support of the Free Kesha movement. Jumping back into the actual record here, standout tracks, Party Like a Millionaire. It opens, that's the opener for this album. It's awesome. It was also the first song that they wrote without Danny, coming off that record deal. And I think it speaks to their optimism. Melissa's such a sweet person. She's so nice and like so bubbly and kind. And I think, going through all of that for so many years, losing the record deal, losing the bandmate, and then turning it around and being like, you know what? Look, we're still here and we're cranking out hits and we're still here having fun. We want to party and live the life that we actually sing about. And Party Like a Millionaire, great opener for this record.
Prom Dress.
Prom Dress is great.
That's the one that I was listening to. I was driving down fucking Franklin and that's when it hit me. I was listening to that song and I was like, dude, all of these memories started flooding back. So I'm going to say that's my standout track on this one.
We have to wrap this up.
Just stay tuned. I'm going to get into all of this with Melissa. So anything that we missed and any facts that we didn't get right, we're going to clear up and just fucking stay right here. I think we're good.
Okay.
Hey,
Here we go.
We're ready. Are you ready?
Oh, why not?
I mean, that was as good a time as any.
Oh yeah.
We welcome to CD Burners. This is it's also the first episode in my house.
Well, thank you for welcoming me to your house.
Melissa Marie Green from Millionaires. We did an episode on you in the studio when TJ and I spoke about the album and the year, and
Oh my gosh.
it was a wild time.
It was. It really was. Yeah. Oops.
Whatever. This is what's gonna happen.
Whoops.
Dude,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
what's gonna happen here.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the album Cash Only.
Yeah, that's the one Millionaires will be performing at when we were young.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that one. Yeah, it's been it came out in 2010, I believe, and that's when I met you, Morgan. Like right during that time.
I know, and like I didn't.
So we've been friends for way too long.
A really, 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 really long time, and like I don't know if that's like something that you want to get into here, like how I met you and who I met you through, and like.
Oh no, I mean obviously it's just like the basic, I had a boyfriend at the time, and then he was friends with you, and then remember the lab. That's when I met you. Like, remember at the lab?
When I worked at Buffalo Exchange?
Yes. I don't know if you want to get but
No, I don't get I'm an open book.
I thought it was super cool. I was like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like the Buffalo Exchange, the first time I'd ever been to the Buffalo Exchange. Like this is, a long time ago. And it was like it was a perfect place though too, especially for like the scene to like, like everything was like, not thrifty, it was expensive. Okay, by all means. But that thrifty aspect of like, oh, it's like the one of a kind clothing, if you think about it, And I wore a lot of that shit on like tour, because it wasn't just like you go to American Apparel and buy the same thing. Yes, I would too, obviously to fit in, but yeah, I love Buffalo Exchange though. But
I mean, that was just, it was, for me, that was like a very magical time, because that was when I was first getting sober. So I was like,
yeah,
that's how I met That's how I met
Yeah.
your ex-boyfriend through that type of stuff. And, you know, I didn't really, that was the first time I really experienced like life on like life's terms.
Yeah.
And meeting you,
That's true.
you were one of the first people that I met because I'm from Tucson, which is a small town,
And
right?
you moved out, right?
And so meeting somebody like you who was blowing up at the time, like you were the first maybe like famous person I met.
See, I didn't. It was so early in the game, you know. That was like the first, or you know, like it was just that MySpace time.
But that was what was big to me. That was like, you know, that's like why we're doing this whole thing is because like that's what I grew up on. And so meeting you and I mean, my ex-girlfriend's best friend was Tila Tequila, right?
Oh my God. Yes.
So like,
it's all the Asians, right?
I want to touch on that too.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of stuff I really want to touch on, but will you do me a favor and give me a snapshot of like what 2010 looked like for you?
It was.
Hold this up a little bit. Hold it closer to you.
No,
I mean, you sound great.
Oh yeah, no. It's
oh
just
yeah,
like
there it is.
Is that better?
Oh
okay, yeah. No, it was definitely. It was a weird, not like weird, but like it was definitely up and down. Like not like mentally like crazy or anything, but like just like with the ups and downs of it all. Because that year, like, well, I think I met you in 2009, to be honest, though. But 2010 is when that Cash Only, you know, like kind of reverting back to that. When that EP came out, that was the change of members in the band. So we had also recorded in England. So part of the, you know, songs had, you know, 3 members, and then it became 2 during that time when we released, you know, the album. And, you know, we were about to be signed, you know what I mean, to a well, Be Unique. It's a record label, you know. And yeah, and then we that broke because of the whole situation at hand. And so, but we still, you know, own the songs, and we're like, okay, we'll still release the EP with half and half or what have you. And no, but then it gets better. You know what I mean? Just like, you know, like my sister and I like wrote like a new song, Party Like a Millionaire. So that was like kind of like that, you know, like, you know, back to basics kind of thing. And then we got to tour and everything. So it was fun. I don't know.
Well, even besides the album, besides like the recording process.
Just, like, Cash On.
No, I wanted like a snapshot of like what your life looked like in 2010.
Oh, well, I think I was like, I was like 19, 20. And then just, it was crazy just flying by yourself with your 2 friends at that time back and forth from, you know, like overseas and touring over
it's exciting.
there.
It's exciting because like, dude, this is not something that was really planned, right?
No, not at all. I mean, I was a math major in college, and I gave that up by any means, you know what I mean? But I did, you know, but my mom was fine with it. Never thought like my mom and dad would be like fine with, like, you know, just like the, you know, take that chance kind of thing. And then once they realized that like what was really going on, and it was just like, okay, like we were able to move out, you know, you know, like early and everything. And then I took my sister with me, and then, yeah, just like, I think, you know, a lot of kids during college times, like they go on, like, you know, like people get like the little, like the graduation present and go overseas. But I was like working overseas, you know what I mean, like that. Yeah, I had like the work permit or what have you, and we were going back and forth and everything. And it was actually kind of really cool. And then like just to be recognized too, like after like, just for something that was so fun, was just so nice, I will say. And then continue, like, never thought 17 fucking years later, you know what I mean, or beeping years later, you know?
No,
like,
we can swear. We can say whatever we want.
Sorry, if you want to, yeah.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
But like, yeah, like, but, you know, the 17 years later, like, this year is 17 years, and it's just like, that's half of my life, Morgan.
And so
I've known you for almost half of my life.
Which is, I mean, we didn't plan for any of this stuff. I feel like there is
never
in a million years
you
when
nailed it.
I met you, I would have never thought in 17 years later we'd be sitting
all the people in the world
on my couch talking about what it was like 17 years ago, right?
Craziness.
Like, I'm trying to, you know, I think what we're really trying to do is give a snapshot of time, because there's a lot of kids now
Goes by quick. Goes by quick.
that are finding out about this music. They're finding out about emo. They're finding out about what it was like. They have memories of, they see videos and pictures of the Warped Tour, and I'm like really trying to give a snapshot of what that looked like and what it felt like, and how we can tell it in a story,
yes.
and how to like.
Okay, yeah, it was definitely, in a weird way, it was happier times. Maybe it's just because you're young and dumb or whatever and out of control or what have you. You know, obviously, I know you had some fun, but but I mean, like, it was that feeling of just like the fuck it, I'm just gonna go and do it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, even if my mom's mad at me, fuck it, I'm just gonna go and do it. I got on the road with, you know what I mean, like you know, like 3-4 random guys just to hit the road for 2 months at a time, you know. God knows where we woke up. God knows where we're going to stay. We didn't have whatever you use for, like, you know, like all the kayaks or whatever, you know, like,
Yeah,
like
I don't even think
hotels.
like no Apple,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
maps.
Yeah, there's no
like
maps. Oh my God, I have to do this one. Sorry. So we were on tour the first tour ever, okay? And there was, we had a tom. Do you remember the tom-toms that, like, it was the first little, like, you know what a tom-tom is?
Was
you
it like?
have to know what that is. It's like the GPS.
Oh yeah, it was like a
He's-
GPS.
yes,
It was like an external GPS,
yes,
right?
and you just
Yeah.
like clicked in. But like if you didn't have service, then it wouldn't work. Okay, but also too, if there's no service there, you know your phone doesn't have service, and this is shitty sidekicks during this time. Actually, it's not shitty sidekick. I love sidekick. It's like my favorite thing. I wish one day they will bring that back, and I will. I mean, they don't sponsor me for that one.
Yeah, that's what you should be
sponsored for. Yes. But the TomTom wasn't working, and like we were really lost because we had never traveled. This is the first tour, and we were in the middle of nowhere. And then we actually had to we had a map in the car, and we were, you know, old school doing it like through the, you know, like just you got to turn right here, but it's a map. You don't know like what every street is, you know. And we got lost, and we had to ask some like. It's so scary. It's just so scary having to ask like some stranger, like, you know, like.
Well, dude,
God knows where.
Essentially, you're a little kid getting thrown into like the music industry.
Oh yeah,
you know,
beyond.
like you're getting thrown into a scene that is you know. There's people that like we started doing this, like I didn't even know like what an agent did. I didn't know.
Yeah. What was your first tour
with Emo Nite?
No, with your band, because you were in bands, like.
Oh, we would do like small runs, like I mean, like really, like I was never in any like big.
You didn't do like the long.
No.
1 month.
The longest tour I've ever been on was the one with 303 when they did the Want tour.
That's cool though.
It was awesome. It was the first time I've ever
that's
traveled in a bus. It was the first time I
The
ever.
bus. Oh,
it was awesome. But like that to
Yeah.
me, like that's
seems unbelievable.
like that's the stuff. Dude, that's the stuff like I grew up dreaming of doing. You know, like I grew up dreaming of like I would be standing in the mirror, pretending to play songs like the, you know, like Saves the Day songs, right? And like and now we get to do this, but it's you know, it's so drastically different than what I imagined my life to be. But I tried to explain it when I was telling TJ. I was telling him a little bit about Club Moscow.
Oh my God, that is a throw. Not like a throw, but it is.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, remember what Hollywood.
Wait, so this is before the band, though. Remember Tiger Heat?
I want you to talk. That's what I want to hear.
Oh my!
That's what I want to talk
you guys,
about.
I mean, not to put me into a bad situation here, but I had so many fake IDs. Okay, like it was like crazy. Like, because like they would allow you in, but like I wasn't 18. I breathe it in there, but I wasn't 18 yet. And then my friends were though. And so I was like, I even have to get the fake ID for 21. Just might as well, you know, pop it up a couple, you know, years. But I remember this one time, like I had an Ohio like fake ID, and it wasn't at Moscow though. It was the I don't know. There's Heist.
That's the thing. My memory. That's when my memory goes.
Because you just whatever's like cool. But that was the first time they would take this is why I love the Emo Nite. It totally is like a representation of that like memory of that, like with like the club photos, and you can't wait to see them post it, you know, on the MySpace. Then you go and, like, like, it's just like cool.
That's that's the feeling that we wanted to bring back. Like that's what I remembered going to clubs. And then we had a really like a lull in that time where it wasn't cool and it was like embarrassing. And like now I never thought it was that. I always thought it was awesome and I missed that time.
Those I love that. Yeah.
And I got to tell you, like when I re-listened to your album, out of all of the albums that we have listened to for this podcast, that one brought me back the most. It brought me back the most out of all of the albums like that we have listened to.
Are you just saying that?
I'm not saying that. I said it on the
sitting on your couch.
No, I said it on the I said it on the other podcast. I was driving down Hollywood Boulevard while I was listening to this, and it put me in a time capsule. It put me back exactly how I felt back in 2010 when I used to drive up here from Orange County,
That's the Orange, and you drive all the way up, and it's so long, and you still make it back home somehow, some way. We're still alive. And
you do it in the same night, you do it in the same night.
It was, and we would meet up with your friends, and like I would like lie to like, I mean not like lie, but just
it's fine, dude. You lied. Who cares? I lied. I fucking.
But I would just say like, oh, I've lied multiple times. Like, but my mom knew, or my mom and dad knew, or whatever. But it's just like that. Oh, I'm gonna spend the night at this person's house or whatever. And you don't know where you're gonna end up, just in case you can't make it back, But yeah, one time I said that like a friend of mine like we're gonna spend the night at each other's house, for the weekend or whatever. We went to Las Vegas, but we didn't know her dad put a tracker on the car because he's like, well, there's so many miles on this vehicle from and so we got caught, and I was like. Oh.
Dude, I mean,
nothing you can do at that point.
That's the thing, and this was a really before, you touched a little bit about it, like trackers. They're starting with this like technology of like where you you can be connected, right? Like you did mention like sidekicks, and
oh my God.
I remember standing in like circles, and everybody being on their sidekicks like after shows.
Remember the T-mail? Like the AIM and the T-mail.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was our first email. I mean, obviously you have to have the Yahoo at the beginning or whatever, but like, or AOL, but that T-mail was the in between. And that's like, I feel like that was like the scene haven, it's like that,
Dude, I mean, we all just like stood in circles after shows and played on the fucking sidekicks.
instead of hanging out, even though we're right there and we're still like, yeah.
Dude, and here, this is like another thing that I give you so much credit for. In my opinion, you were legitimately the first influencer. Like, in my opinion, like you are, it's so common.
Where's my trophy, huh?
You should literally get one.
Is he gonna bring it out for me?
But like, I mean, think about how common that term is now, right?
Yeah,
that term didn't even exist back then.
There was another, I was talking to like Finn, like, and I did say it on like another little podcast. I was like, just like, not little, it's huge, but like, just like that feeling of just like when did that word come out? Because we were never given those words of like, social media. That was not a term, Morgan.
It was just MySpace.
When did it was just MySpace. It's like, oh, I'm cool on MySpace. I'm, you know what I mean? Like, oh, like I found them from MySpace. It wasn't like, oh, and if whatever we wore, think about like, I remember being on Warped Tour and like, they're giving me, even the bands, they're giving you free merch, or you swap out, just to be nice, and everyone's dirty as hell. So you want new clothes for free and you don't have any time to wash them. But it's like, but seeing those people on stage with it, it's just like, it's an influence too, because all those people are watching, which is so cool. But that wasn't a term. We got to find out what year that word even became like a thing.
I don't know.
Or those words, like social media and influencer.
But you were the first one. People knew who you were that have never met you, and before that it was like you had your crew that you grew up with, and like you were best friends with like your neighbors.
Little Orange County posse. Yeah.
And like there are people across the world that knew you, and like when you would upload stuff and like your status and all this shit, like I mean, how, looking back on that,
I should have taken more advantage of it, probably.
Well, we didn't know. Dude, that's the thing.
Didn't know what was going down.
You didn't know how important that was. And like when people, like I remember my parents were like, the fuck, like people were like, what the fuck is this? And like I didn't realize the importance of it at the time. I don't think anybody really does when it's happening. And like that is why I think that this is like, you in particular are such an extreme example of culture, like shaping culture, without meaning to and without almost being recognized for it.
Yeah,
Like,
it was a hard one also too. I mean, not to throw in like the being a girl kind of
no,
thing.
no, I
but
want
it-
to. I want to.
Yeah. But just that was a hard thing though too. Like, cause even on like Warped Tour, I think we were even because the Warped Tour was a huge thing, back in the day. Obviously, I wish that was still going on, but yeah, but even with that though, like it was we played off an iPod. Everyone else had a band, even if it was like a female vocalist. Everyone had a band, of guys or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? But just like the background, was male still, and it was like I was thrown into like a boys' camp. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like on Warped Tour, you got to think about that. Like it's all like even at all the parties, yeah, like the girls, like the little, fun girls that come and at each state for the other guys, are there.
Yeah,
But
Groupies.
yes, it's
Yes,
okay.
I know, dude. We can say whatever we want.
Couple lot
Look, I don't
lizards.
give a shit.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna downplay it. You know what I mean?
I don't
but
give a
it's just
fuck.
Because it's fun though. You know what I mean? But like, I dated.
Yeah, we're living-
I
yes.
dated a lot of the guys in the industry there. But yeah, but just like, but that whole feeling is like, you're in like the boys' world in that situation. So I feel like it toughened me up a lot, even to this day.
So
like, I don't know, yeah, still,
not only
pushed it through.
not only first influencer, not only getting on. First off, I want to talk about a little bit about how you felt about being in the Warped Tour when you guys didn't sound like anything else there. You didn't sound like anything else. Like, why do you think that the Millionaires belonged in that scene? How do you think that you fit in, and why do you think you found that place in there?
I think, actually, the most, not random, but like, I made friends with, a lot of the guys on Warped Tour, obviously, some hated us and whatever the case may be, obviously. But Justin Sane from Anti-Flag, he came up to me one night and we were having a couple drinks or whatever, and he was like, you're the most punk rock, it's the punk rock tour. And he's like, and you're the most punk rock because you don't, like you came on with like, it was the most punk rock thing to do is to take over this whole tour and like play off an iPod with no band. Because everyone thinks if you think punk rock, you're thinking, guitars and the drums and blah, blah, blah. And whatever the case may be. And he straight up said, like, you're the most punk rock for like dealing with all this though too, because we were getting so much hate and everyone knew it. And I mean, you can't do anything about it or whatever. Well, you could have, but whatever. But look, and you know who's in the punk rock museum? My shit's in the punk rock museum.
And it should be.
It is.
And
they
should
didn't,
be.
yeah, not all those people
So
fuck that shit. I'm in the punk rock museum.
So-
Also, too, that's kind of scary because I was like, wait, I'm not dead yet, though. You know what I mean? I was like, I've never heard of someone being in a museum before they're dead. Or, you know what I mean? Like, but I made it into the punk rock museum, so I think that solidifies that I was.
I don't think it really
as punk
matters
rock
if
as
you,
it
I don't
comes.
think it really matters if you made it into any museum whatsoever. I think that it is just the truth that you were not only the first influencer. What he was saying is like at the time. Now it sounds
It was against like the the normal situation at hand. Like
now it doesn't sound crazy to bring an iPad to a party and play it.
Oh yeah,
Back
sorry,
then,
yeah.
back then,
Oh my god,
that was unheard of.
we had our backup was an extra iPod. We just like had just in case it died or we forgot to charge it. We had the extra iPod to like it was an iPod or like it was like a small one, like a nano. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
no, that was unheard of to do that back then.
We didn't even have a laptop.
And I want everybody to know like how
it was chancy. It was
how
chancy. Yeah.
revolutionary that was and how influential that was. You're not only playing music that didn't sound like anything else, you were playing it in an unconventional way.
Exactly.
You were the first
Perfect word for that.
first social media like influencer in I really do believe that. And you guys are girls with an incredibly male dominated scene. Not only that, you're Asian.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
were-
Toss in that to the mix. You know what I mean?
So
yeah.
you have everything that wasn't happening and wasn't talked
it was
about.
totally like in suburb from Orange County too. It wasn't just like it came you know what I mean from like like middle of nowhere kind of thing. And it's like no, it's like yeah, it was just I don't even know. everyone asks me to, like, if like someone doesn't know, like my mom or something, like if a friend, I swear to God, you really want this in my mouth, okay? You know, but no, but like I remember like my mom trying to explain to her friends like oh, what kind of she's in a band, or you know what I mean, she makes music, like what kind of music do you make? Like it's like you know, it's not like you can just say country or you know whatever, or like rock or what. It's like I don't know how to explain. Still to this day, and it's 17 years later, I always say like dirty pop music, like, you know, but if you can't say like scene or emo, like they don't, maybe now emo is more, you know,
It's
addressed.
not. I mean, it's not. It's just associated with.
Yes, but it is, but like it was really scene realistically. Obviously, you know, it's a different sound, you know.
Dude, that's and you know, Moscow to me was like the definition of like scene when we would go there, and that was when
that was a cool venue though too. Just as when you're younger too, it still is. But you know,
it was such a.
Yeah.
It was such an important time for me. It like really shaped who I was at the time. Like I was blown away coming from like a place of, you know, small town in Tucson, going to Hollywood, you know, when Hollywood was fucking cool, and being in a part of an underground, weird looking scene that wasn't.
But it's accepting though too. Like
it was. Everything about it was, that's what, you know, essentially what we wanted to do when we made Emo Nite. I wanted to have that feeling and bring it now.
Yeah, it's beautiful because I went to a private Catholic high school, you know, and it wasn't okay. Like even my friends, like, you know, they're like you know, they're gay or what have you, and like, but you weren't allowed to do that, you know, like, or maybe, you know, we all have fun, you know.
Yeah, you know,
outside,
right?
But it wasn't allowed, and it's like, but yeah, when I found the scene per se, like MySpace was the one. I mean, I give not all my credit because I had to work my ass off for, but like the beginning part was like, damn, like it is okay for these, you know, my friends to like, you know, like just, you know, be them type thing, and it's like that's not fair. It's like rude that like you can't do that.
I think, yeah, and I think we're talking about a world where this wasn't talked about all day, every day. It was almost like it was supposed to be
like the black, like what is it called, like the
black sheep?
Yeah, but no, it's like the black market or what? I'll figure out the word later. But just like you, yeah, just like you have to like the dark or whatever internet or something. But just like you have to like you couldn't like just be out there and just be like yourself. And that's like the MySpace thing. Like you could even like with Millionaires is like. You know, we could just be whoever we wanted to be with the songs, even if it was just funny or like everything wasn't like, you know, like specifically true at that time, but just like the partying and everything, like you can actually like come out and say and be who you wanted to be in that sense. And
I think you know, people listening to this now, that doesn't sound so crazy because we're, you know, you're talking about like.
You guys are lucky now.
This is just like the norm, right? This is the norm, and this was not the norm back then. You broke ice. Yeah. You broke all of those molds. You know what I mean? And I don't think that you, at least in my opinion, I don't know if you know that you did that. And I don't know if like you realize the influence that you've had on what we're seeing in society today.
Yeah.
Like you guys were.
Thank you. Like, honestly, I think. No, I didn't have to have this microphone in my hand.
It's true. It's true. And it really, like, there's a lot of parallels that remind me.
But thank you, though. Yeah, that means a lot to me.
Look, it's true is the thing. Like, when I say that you guys, I don't know if it's because you didn't care. I don't know if it's because, you know, you just are who you are. I don't know what it was. Like, I don't know what it was. But everything that we see in media today is that we're told to be and told to be proud of and be ourselves. You guys were doing that when it wasn't okay to do that. And you guys continued to push through and did it. And you want to know what? You guys, it looked like you guys did it with a smile on your face. And it looked like you guys did it having fun and didn't really give a fuck. But
I'm still having fun with it too, you know. Fuck those people that remain. There's so much hate.
There was a lot. There really was a lot, and that's what happens.
And no one knows how much. You know what I mean? Like you know, everyone in general, you know, in life, you know, everyone's gonna get hate if you're doing something correctly. You know, but you learn that later in life. If you're doing something correctly, you get hate. You know,
well, if you're doing something different too.
Yeah.
Right. So like people are scared of things that are different. and threatened by things that are different. And I think that
Jealousy. It's just jealousy. And
who knows what it is, but they're scared of it.
Deep-seated bad
It's all
people.
fear. It's all it's all rooted to fear. It's all rooted to fear. Fear that they are not good enough to do that. Fear that they are, that whatever. It's all rooted in fear, and that's okay. It's okay. That's a human. It's a human nature.
Well, of course, there wouldn't be a word if it wasn't something.
But you guys, the influence that you had, I really think if you really trace it, also, you trace it back, and then you have, I don't really want to touch too much on it, but like, then you've got the Kesha shit, right? And that was mainstream.
Yeah.
So your look, feel, the way that you exuded.
It does suck. That I will say that. You know what I mean? The nicest way possible.
It
that,
sucks.
Like,
No, it does suck.
but like someone else was given credit for our sound and our,
Yeah.
when we did do it first.
You did do it first. No, you absolutely did do it first. And I know that, like, I read a
I'll
little.
just leave it at that. You know what I mean? But
No,
yeah.
you
Oh,
did it
can
first.
go ahead. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah.
Like, I mean, Dr. Luke is known for
Oh my
literally
God, yeah. So I didn't know
stealing.
if you knew the background of
Yeah,
all
he's known
that.
for like literally stealing.
And we actually heard it from like the source and everything. And so it's just like, damn, but also too, like she went through a lot of shit. You know what I mean? I'm not, it's like,
I don't want to knock her. I don't want to
me.
knock her because I know that.
I say, but thank God. But how about this? Maybe I got the blessing in disguise because, like, just in my mind, I always try to look to the positive. And, I attempt to.
I mean, I think that
I have,
look.
I have my mean side, but
I think that you even have looked. I don't know if you realize how much you look to the positive because there's times when you're at Warped Tour and people are booing, and because you have dudes that are like, "Fuck this, this isn't heaven," and then you have the girls that are like, "Don't look at, my boyfriend, don't look at her." Like you're getting hate from everywhere. You know what I mean?
It's both parties.
It's both.
Yeah.
It's all things.
All parties. It's all parties.
And it's different. It's like people are scared of they're scared of things that are different, right?
You're right. Yeah, I forgot to. Yeah, that's a different part too. I remember being at this signing, and this one guy was like waiting in line, and this one girl comes up and she throws her drink at us. You know what I mean? Because we have like the posters out or whatever, and you have the signing after like you perform or whatever, and we're all like sitting there, and then I was like, what the. You know what I mean? It's like, why was random girl of all people? I wouldn't assume, and not like that, but like I wouldn't assume a girl. Like I would assume if the girl's over there, she's probably a fan. But it was the boyfriend in the line, like trying to say hi to us or something, And then one time, one of the girls got hit in the face with a shoe, like it's just like like they just threw the shoe and it's like hit her in the face. It's like, oh my God, like I don't know.
It seems that you
the
guys
bands would just be honest and just talk shit at that stage. Stages?
No, I do, and we had
to go and eat lunch with them. It was like high school all over again. It's like I just fucking left high school. You know what I mean? It's like this is continuing on into like once I leave. My sister was still in high school, I think, during that time. So it's like it's still continuing here.
And so you guys are also legitimately like kind of teenagers.
We were definitely
you
teenagers.
Were teenagers
yes.
dealing with like I said, like who the fuck knows what an agent manager means. These people are taking, it's Hollywood. People could take advantage. Like you guys take advantage of it. You got getting attention that you didn't realize you were going to get attention from. Like all of it, I'm sure it was exciting, but I'm sure like I gotta ask, like, does it, when all of the hate stuff was happening, like, even though I think that you did smile through it, and I think that you did do.
Oh no, it hurt.
Yeah,
I'm a human. I'm not like, rope. Like it hurts, but also too, like I said, and I'll say it a million times. I feel like I need it tattooed on me. It's just like if you respond to something, like if something hurts you or whatever, take the time to respond to every. Luckily, I have a lot, just because of social media stuff. But respond to every single nice thing first. I can go back even to the MySpace days and accidentally not responded to someone's message that was nice. And by the time you start responding, then you'll forget. That mean person's comment, and then you moved on because you can look at every nice thing that someone said to you. That's my mindset. Because it hurts and you cry. And what's so weird too? I remember the first time we get hate, but we're like, what the hell's going on here? Like, why are they hating on us? And I dealt with all the hate and everything. And then when it really was getting bad, like the really just like, the really mean stuff, like you a fat bitch or ooh, ugly, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, no, you don't know who these people are. And then all of a sudden there was this one comment one day and they're like ew or something. And I just started crying. You know what I mean? It's just like, I never reacted to any of those other ones. I didn't respond to it or anything, but that reaction was like that last straw or whatever that broke the camel's back. And it was just like oh my God, I was like, why am I crying over this stupid one when I should have been crying over the, kill yourself or whatever,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
something
just
like,
the
your
one
fucking
thing.
music is shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, that was the one that broke it. I was like, that's a joke to me too. It's like, I don't know, but
And
you
it's
get through
like
it.
I wanted to hear you say that. Yeah, that kind of sucks because like
Oh yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
it's.
I'm not a crazy person.
I always wonder
Maybe
like,
sometimes.
dude, I always wonder like what people react. People how they internalize stuff because I internalize shit too.
Yeah,
It's like we are human, and so even no matter how big you are, no matter how many people know you, like somebody with like a bunch of numbers in their username could say you suck, and that really fucks you up.
Yeah, that's gotta be. I know, because like, well, obviously you're doing very. Obviously you guys are amazing and everything, and like, but you guys broke like I could say the same exact thing to you. You broke through in a way like that, like really brought everything back too. And look at how many, how much fun now that like all of our bands can have after, like that whole lull in that time frame was. So
well, I found a lot of parallels between the Millionaires and Emo Nite. I found a lot of parallels between us, like
which
that.
is, I know, when
Like when looking, and I never really did do a deep dive on you guys because just knew you. Like I don't really deep dive.
Yeah, that'd be weird to like, look into.
I don't,
someone.
it was just like I didn't really
I don't
do
really,
it.
I don't look like that. Like, what did Morgan do? Like,
Like I didn't really take a look, and then I looked at what you guys were up. When we first started, people were like, "Fuck this! You guys are gay. This sucks." Like, and then those same people that said that, like 3 years later, like, "Yo, can I get guest list?"
Oh my God! I swear to God. It's coming out of the woodwork, everyone is.
But you guys stuck to what you believed in. You did it with a fucking iPad. So did we. When we first started, we literally brought an iPad to a bar.
I had the desktop. Oh, I mean, like when I recorded the music, it was just on. We didn't even have a microphone. This is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you were doing it right into the computer,
you
right?
Scream at it. Yeah, you scream at the thing.
And so, hold on, I want to make.
Embarrassing. It's embarrassing enough to say, but yeah, we got the garage band, and it's like,
Hold on, I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything because I do. I do have so much stuff.
Oh my God, you do have a lot.
Yeah,
no.
no.
How many notes did you take of me here?
I took a lot of you guys.
Scary.
I took a lot. Like, okay, I want to touch. This is something that I don't think we did talk about it, but like I want to at least touch on like Trey Cyrus and the introduction to how you met, how like he helped you with moving forward.
Oh, he never helped me.
Great.
That's a joke. Yeah, that's a joke. No. If anything, it was like, if you can do it, I can do it. So I met just quickly though. Actually, remember how I asked? I was like, I want to play that Emo Nite Pomona, okay? Because that is where, like I remember my first show, like not my first show, but like I went when I was in high school, and so I go to the show, and then I'm not avenged, like I'm not really like I don't
vengeful.
believe it.
Yeah, you're not a vengeful person.
I swear to God, I'm not like that. But it's just like it's like almost like the karma aspect. But I was in high school, and then my first boyfriend ever, you know what I mean? He breaks up with me or whatever, and like asks out the girlfriend, and he shall not be named, but he breaks up with me and asks like this other girl, to prom or whatever in front of me. Not prom, whatever, spring fling kind of thing in front of me. And then I'm like, oh, brokenhearted, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And so my friend in religion class, he's like, he was actually the one who kind of introduced me to like the emo stuff we listened to from first to last. Okay, like, and I was like, oh, I'll just go. We didn't go to from first to last show, but we went to a Spill Canvas show, and it was Motion City Soundtrack, Spill Canvas, and OK Go. I don't know if you remember them.
Yeah, still like are making like the best music.
Yes, I know. So yeah, but like it was like this weird like setup. But I was like, and my mom let me go because I couldn't. I was like 15 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, and it was far from Orange County to Pomona in my mom's mind. And I was like, can I go? And she let me go. And so I go over there, and then, Spill Canvas, because I loved Spill Canvas though. And like, it's still, actually, I'm friends with them too. It's like so crazy. Like, anyways, but they're sweethearts. But I go to the show, and then I'm just in the crowd with like two people I don't really know, like my classmates, but like that they're not my friends, but I just went. And so like I was the third wheel too, but we were like just singing along and everything. And then I saw Trace, and he's like 6'3", 6'4", or whatever. And then we just made eye contact. And then MySpace thing, he's like he had the sidekick or whatever, like you could tell. And then so we got together, and then I went with him. We were together for a couple of years, and I graduated, right as I graduated, he was like had to go to New York with Crush Management and everyone, and then they were recording that album, the Metro Station album, and so I was there, out there in New York at like 16, 17 with them, and so I met everyone, and now obviously because he's while you're recording and everything, like I'm just chilling, like I don't live there, so I'm like just chilling around. And so I met like the whole team and everything. And so then I come back, and then I'm going to college. And then that's when I started Millionaires, because we had split, but that's separate. But then I was like, when we started the MySpace, it went up, like the charts. And I was like, maybe I should reach out, to Crush and everything. So it's almost like not revengeful, but I was like, oh, look at me, I can do it too. So I did it. That's, that was like the first step of like trying to, I'm a fun person, so I was like, I made friends with everyone. So it was just like, I was like, everyone knew who I was, and I was like, yeah, if you want to just like talk to me about like maybe like look at the MySpace charts, like we're kind of up there. So if you want to like talk about some stuff, and I was young though.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like
that jump. I don't know, dude. Yeah, it's kind of weird like looking back at it. But
that's kind of where I want to go. Like it is weird looking back at it. Like you were young, and the same feelings
my mindset. I don't know, like what made me kind of jump to that, or not jump, but like take that leap, whilst I was even going to school and everything. So,
I mean, I didn't have the insight to do any of that stuff. Like I didn't have, and so the fact that you did is, there's so many really incredible facts, small facts about you that add up to a lot of really big and influential things. So, but at the time, like, you are so young, and you're
taking those chances.
I can't imagine, like, what does it feel like to date somebody who is known and like a little, on the famous side, like when you are young? Like, I mean, I remember going to Moscow and meeting like Sonny and all those people, and I was blown away. I was Sonny so starstruck.
Sonny came to our Millionaires' first show ever, and it was out here in Hollywood. Yeah, he just came just to watch, because I think he was, you know what I mean? Like,
well, you're part of this.
Yeah. But it was like that. I know it wasn't like he was questioning it, but like he was like, I know he was like trying to see like what it was all about too. He was a sweet guy though.
I mean, this thing is like everybody kind of ran in like similar circles, and we knew each other.
Such a small look at us,
Still here, and like
still here. Yeah.
I still here, and still doing it, and like. And do you ever look back at those times and like, do you wish that you made, look, I don't think that how do I say this without, I think like every step that I take is probably the right step, and we're supposed to be doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, like live. It's like if it's supposed to happen, it's supposed to happen.
But like, are there any like moments in those early days that you were like, "Fuck, I wish I would have done this different"?
That's a hard one, because like I believe that too. It's just like well, you want to believe it because you can't fix it.
You can't fix it,
that's
right?
The whole thing. Yeah, that's the only reason I believe in that. But I'm sure, like, along the lines, like, there are just certain things that, like, how this? I wish I believed in myself, because, like, I believed in myself, and I did everything. But maybe, like, it's only the regret is myself, per se, of, like, maybe I could have believed in myself more. Does that make sense? Like, called that extra person, or, what I'm talking about, or just, like, reach out to something and, like, not be like like, I'm not good enough kind of feel. Maybe that would be the best. So it's my fault, but that's the regret aspect of it. But But realistically, everyone's such a dick these days. You know what I mean? It's like they probably would have shot me down and say, "Oh, great," but I could have done it and risked it a little bit more. But I already did, like, so many times. So you know how many wins can you get? You know?
I mean, I really think they're gonna go down. Like, I think hopefully enough people watch this and hear this and listen to like how
listen to yourself. You know?
You did. You.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
no,
you
I
were,
did, and I'm
like,
still look at me now. I never thought as a 16-year-old, 17, whatever, you know, like making like a song on like, you know, a GarageBand desktop that 17 years later I'm about to be playing when we were young festival. It's like, what the hell? Like I don't think it's hit me still yet, you know, because like I know like everyone thinks like oh, you know, you're supposed to do it or whatever. It's like, but no, like that it's kind of it's crazy to like get on that kind of stage. Like when I was talking to Kaylin, like when you guys got to do Coachella, I was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? It was such a good moment for us. You know what I mean? Like to know that it's just crazy, you know, just because I know you, and just to like have that like moment too, and like to show everything you've worked for, to like actually. You know, it sounds stupid to have to do it in front of all these people, but the whole point, you know, that's why they have awards and all this shit. But like you did it, and that's that feeling, you know.
And I think that is the difference between like our scene and any other scene is we had to work really hard.
Oh,
much harder than
it took 17 years instead of
then because it wasn't accepted. It was alternative. It was the things that your parents were like, what the fuck? Like, are you guys doing? Like, this doesn't make any sense. You look like freaks. You look, you know, and we had to work really, really hard to do the things that we believed in. And I think that you did that with like fun and grace and like a positive attitude that like people would, I think we haven't talked anything about like the album or the lyrics, but like, you know, minus like, you know, you are an influential person in that way. And I think parents would like, without listening to the album.
Yeah. They don't have to listen to
but I wanted to ask you this.
My parents they supported though.
I wanted were they ever like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No,
like, were they ever
I think they knew that it was like involve, you know, fun aspect, you know, because it's like, you know, me and my sister and like the best friend kind of thing. It's like instead of us going out to like, you know, I mean, we get fucked up or whatever, but like I don't know, to have like them to support us, it's better to keep it in the realm. It's like do it here kind of thing rather than like go out and, you know, do something elsewhere or whatever. But I don't know, but
I mean, did they ever listen to the lyrics? And
my mom, yesterday at Emo Nite, last night at the Costa Mesa, my mom came out and she was thrown off because I brought her up just, you know, for my, you know, just to like, you know, dedicate to my dad or whatever passing, but she was so thrown off, so she's standing next to me, and then I'm singing like was it alcohol? I don't know, but I turned her and she knows the song, so she obviously listens to it, and it's like the worst part of the song that I like, you know, like put the microphone in front of her face, and she's like you know, like, yeah, if your pussy's tight or whatever, you know what I'm talking about, just like she knows it, so there's never a question, and that song is on that 2010, so she obviously has known, you know, for
they never like pulled you aside.
Shut up,
and
mommy.
They never
I
pulled
love you.
you.
Thank you for supporting me.
Yeah, they never pulled you aside, and they're like,
never.
Hey, you're talking about your pussy a lot.
No, if anything, they tried to get me like the entertainment lawyer and everything. Like, I think they actually saw the potential and what it could be, because my dad was very business oriented. That's why I have the business never quits, and so he said. But he every day, like even to this last time, he saw that like. So my Spotify thing or whatever, it was like 500,000. He's like, he would look at it every day. He loved that. When MySpace was going on, he would look how many like friends or whatever followers we had. Like he just loved that. It was actually, even though whatever we were doing, how we got to that point,
right?
He was completely supportive. He was proud, actually, and that's the weirdest thing to say about having your daughters and millionaires. But he was so proud. And Kaylin, like that's why, like, for when we're young, I'm going to do something for him, because that's all I think he wanted to stick around just to see that. He was always so proud. He came to every show and he'd wear all the Millionaires, you know, sweatshirts or shirts or whatever, and just stand there. It was beautiful. It was actually really beautiful.
It is really beautiful. It's like, it almost makes me like tear up, dude. That's you had like, you know,
Yeah, well,
listening to the album,
with
listening,
the middle finger in the air, and he's like, yeah.
listening to the album, and then like knowing you guys personally is such a fucking. It's a mind blowing thing, right? Like it's so
I'm
fucking.
sure for you,
It's fucking
Morgan,
crazy to like, and then to see how your parents were so supportive at that. Like you guys encompass like. It's just the opposite of like your album. It's like you guys encompass like
things, bad things.
like
yeah.
like as people, like you are like your family is genuine, you are genuine, you are kind, you are caring, you guys like are supportive, you guys were all of the things, and then you listen to the album and you're like, what the fuck? Not
kind of slaps you in the face like, wait. He's like, oh yeah, you should listen to my music, and it's like, wait a minute, that's the same girl that I just met. Yeah, like it.
like it's such a juxtaposition, right? Like if there's like
I was on Bad Girls Club, and the first thing, if someone recognized, like when you're walking down the street and it's like, oh my god, you're on Bad Girls Club, like I swear to you, I'm not that bad. I'm not that mean. You know what I mean? Whatever. Like I don't know. That throws me off too sometimes.
I mean, and then to talk about a little bit about how I think that you've influenced current culture. Like there was like literally like Kesha. That was the first time we heard that style that you guys made. Also, again, you guys were like some of the first people to make bedroom music.
Yeah.
Like now, I downloaded Ableton last week. You know what I mean? And you guys were doing it before all of that.
Yeah.
You guys were like not so influencing. First influencers, some of the first people to do bedroom music. First, like women in that scene to really stand, and not really make. You guys didn't make it about you guys were women. You didn't do.
We didn't think about that's the whole thing though. Our mindsets weren't like we got to do this because you know what I mean. Like we're women. We got to do this because blah 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 blah. Like it was just like legitimately just like couple girls like just having fun on like a Friday night. Obviously we wrote alcohol on Friday night. Just like the mindset of that. Just like I don't know. It just came to be, but it wasn't forced. It wasn't like like if you buy someone's song and like. And have to record it. It's written for you, and it's like, okay, I want that, or like, like I have to look a certain way. We legitimately, like, if you see like all the photos, though, even till today, to this day, that I still have the bow kind of thing, but like you can just change as you go, and it's not like you have to be a certain way. In my mind, I don't know.
I could talk about this for hours.
That's
like
okay.
I really
well,
could.
That's because we haven't hung out for a long time.
No, I mean like
we have a different.
We always see each other. It's like in passing. It's like
we have a
it
different.
It sucks because like
relationship. Yeah, but
it's like
it's like you don't know who I am or like know me like as a person.
It's like we meet so many people in this thing, and like
I can't imagine how many. Yeah, same thing, but yeah, but
I don't know. I really do. I want to let you know that like everything that I said. I believe, and I believe that down the line you will be recognized as like the first of a lot of things, and
I appreciate that.
And the person and the artists that made culture into what it is now and what it will be.
Yeah.
And I want you to get your flowers for it. Like I will do.
Oh.
I'm here out here screaming like. You guys did it first. Like, you guys fucking did it first. Like, name a thing. You guys did it for my scene, at least. You guys did it first. Like, I saw you on TRL, like, fucking...
Oh, yes. Yeah, someone brought that up yesterday, too. Emo Nite, actually. And, like, yeah, that was... We got on, like, one of the last episodes, It was crazy.
I saw you on TRL with candy bracelets that your fans were giving to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You remember that? Or you looked it up? That's
the... norm now. Like
that
was 17 years later. You guys were dressing like
you don't think about that, but yeah, the candy bracelets.
You guys literally
we put it on TRL, and that was not like normally we have like regular. You know what I'm talking about? Like if you go on, like everyone's like dressed like Pussycat Dolls was like the number one. I remember like when we were watching the countdown because we were just like the new whatever online artists or something. But yeah, but everyone dressed like that same I'm talking about Forever 21, which I love Forever 21. By the way, they changed the whole thing, but but that whole like that clean look, like we didn't have tattoos at the time, but we were obviously also underage, but just like that clean, look. And yeah, I remember going on and the people were thrown off with like, well, are you gonna do like they're like, are you gonna take those off or something? Even I was like, well, we were on tour during the time. I was like, no, because we have to, we made candy bracelets for the fans too on tour. I was like, no, I'm not gonna let these go. Like it was really weird. I don't know, but that was
that long ago.
That was
and
in
that's
2000,
I went to a show last night, and they're selling
2008.
candy bracelets.
Yeah,
and they're selling them,
2008.
and like now all Taylor's fans are. They make it. It's like they have that thing, and you guys did it literally, and you looked like how I am going to events and I am seeing people dress now. Like this indie sleaze revival. You guys
the
were
indie sleaze,
you guys dressed. If
Shout
you
out to
look
them.
up your fucking the video of you guys on TRL, you are so ahead of every curve, and I am not sure if you recognize it. Like I don't know if you know. Like I actually.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think about it, I guess, because it's like, because it wasn't recognized then. So it wasn't like the, like I said, like a trophy or something for like doing it. So it's just like the, we also too, we were on tour during the time, and then we got the call to do it. So we had to not cancel, but we didn't do 2 of the tour dates. We had to fly over to, New York or whatever, like overnight, from, obviously we were in Seattle or something and had to fly all the way over. And then we only had our tour clothes with us. So we didn't have time. Like, it wasn't even if we wanted to dress like a certain way. We only had the shit we had physically in our, one suitcase each, because you're on tour, on the van and the trailer with all the merch. So, and this is the beginning of tour too. So we had nothing. And so it's like, we just got to bring whatever we think we're going to look best in so we don't look fat per se. You know what I mean? Like that whole feeling of like that. If you're going to look, I remember my mom, like, you're going to look like 10 pounds more or something. I was like, oh, we're eating already, like drinking. But I was like, okay, whatever we look good in and you think you can take the best, like jump around and not like show anything, like just cover it enough for like the television so they don't get mad at us. And then we already had the candy bracelets on because we already had it. And then, yeah. And so we had to perform in whatever we had physically, because we left that night too to go back onto the tour because we couldn't, miss any more tour dates. So yeah, so our outfits legitimately were legit. It wasn't like someone dressed us or like did anything, because they were dressing this other gal, and I was like, huh. But yeah, but not us. That's why they're telling us to like you're gonna wear those on the thing. I was like, well, yeah. And she's like, that's why they asked us the question about it. Like, why do you wear those? Why are you wearing those?
And
like,
that was
our
like
fans gave it to us.
That was ahead of the fucking curve 1,000,000%. And like, that's where I like continuously use the word influential in this like in this sphere that like is you could look at take anything in culture, and I could like current culture right now, and I could bring it back to you guys. Like you could pick something and I would be like, this was directly influenced by that. This was directly influenced by that. This was directly influenced by that. And there's not a lot of things and a lot of people and a lot of artists that I can say that about.
But you gotta give yourself credit though too.
This isn't about me.
Oh, well,
this one
should be though.
This podcast.
You've influenced so many people by bringing it back, because you're giving this whole new generation like something like like that was so valuable to us, and it wasn't given in general, just the general scene and emo scene or whatever they want to call it. But like we were never put on that like the popular level of that, and you brought it back, and you're showing the younger generation like what it means. Even by having me here.
It is that? It's important.
Give
is the
yourself
thing.
A little credit.
Well, this isn't about me. This one, look, I could talk about me all day.
Oh, I can't wait.
But like, I also read somewhere that, and I don't know if this is right. I heard you guys shared a bus.
With who?
You can.
Oh, with Broken Side?
Yeah.
Oh, I love those. Are like my family.
And like,
now, we got so much.
And now here we are.
We got so much shit. Not because of the Broken Side, but like on that Warped tour too. Yeah, that we've toured. I've toured so many times with them. But yeah, but
I mean, here we are now. Like you guys together. It's like it is so. Everything about you is so wholesome and beautiful and kind. And then you listen to Cash Only, and it's like, what the
You
fuck?
just can't wrap it around your head. I saw you just wrapping your finger around your hair.
It like doesn't make any sense. It's like an anomaly. It's like millionaires are truly an anomaly to me. They are. It blows my fucking mind. And like, I want somebody. It's not going to be me. Like, but I want somebody to legitimately take a look at like what's happening now, what happened over the past 17 years, and I believe that you can be traced back to almost all of it.
Yeah,
like
the origin of it.
I really do believe, especially with like the internet, you're the birth of social media. You're the birth of what everybody does all day on their fucking phones.
You know, we were I was one of the first people that in MySpace days, like, you know, now you can like, you know, like if someone's like you can get verified. Okay. But MySpace days, you couldn't. So there's all those fake profiles, like billions. And MySpace reached out to me, to mine, because mine had the most or whatever. And I had to, it was the first time when you write had to put your, like, whatever, your tag name. It was before you can even have, like, my name, that's how Millionaires came along, was once we were allowed to do the myspace.com / you know, mine was Melissa Millionaire. And so, but before that, it was just numbers. It was like myspace.com, you know, and then it was like 2, 3, blah, 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 blah. And so I remember I had to take a photo with that sign and send it in to them because they couldn't, because I was underage, I couldn't send my ID. You know, I didn't have one. I wasn't driving at the time. So like, because they were like all these fake profiles at that beginning of catfishing kind of stuff. I had so many people think that I was dating these people. I was like, what the actual fuck? They'd come to the fucking Warped Tour or the shows. I'm like, no, that's not me. You know what I mean?
Dude, you were at the birth. You were like, dude, now you have to like send a picture when you like sign up for Hinge. You have to like send a fucking picture. You were at the birth of that. You were the birth of all of it.
So many people like use my photos for catfishing. I know that for a fact because, like I said, a lot of men, even and women, came out of the woodwork and just were like, hey, like, like, why didn't you answer my text message or something? You know what I mean? Or like, whatever. I don't know. Super weird. And I was like, you don't know how to deal with that at that time, And I know, like, I don't know. It's just that I didn't even take good photos. To be honest, it's just like the photos weren't even like this day and age, like on the sexy or whatever. It's legitly just like, it's just like
but you guys like, that really didn't kind of exist in popular culture before all that stuff.
Yeah, it's so
weird.
It
had to start somewhere,
so
and I think that
weird.
You guys fucking started it. I don't want to go too long. We have really gone
okay.
like, but I also
we'll do a round 2.
I'd love to do a round 2. I literally could go forever, but the last thing I want to touch on, and like the thing that like,
all right, throw it to me there, Mark.
Really does like continuously impresses me is like, your father passed literally this last week.
Yeah.
You are sitting here doing this with me. You just did a show in Orange County with us last night. Like,
I did the other 2 Emo Nites too. I don't know if you know, like he was in the hospital and then I left and I went to the Louisville Emo Nite and then the Cincinnati one. And then Kale and I flew back and then we drove back out for when his birthday and then he passed away and then I came out here.
And you're sitting here doing this with me with like a smile on your face, excited about shit.
Because I'm excited about the future. I can't. The one thing I told like Kaylin even too, because it's like because my family everyone takes everything differently, but I have Business Never Quits, and I'll show you the clip. Actually, I don't know where my phone is, but in the Stay the Night music video, he's in it, and the first thing he says is "Business Never Quits," and I know he would be pissed at me if I just like didn't show up to like be there and like work. It's not even work, but just like like just if I'm in this whole depression thing or like just for him, because of him, he would be mad at me. That's the one thing I've grown up. Maybe that's why I was so pushy and how I got to this point, because I followed in his mindset, maybe hopefully the better parts, but like just like I in his name, it's Business Never Quits. I even tattooed on my sister because she was going through surgery. This is how Business Never Quits came to be or to fruition. She had like a cyst that burst in her stomach, and so she's going into surgery. You know, like and then they. You know, oh, everyone's so it's so sad or whatever. Just she's fine, but she's obviously fine. But they're like, trawling her away or whatever. And in the moment, this is back in 2009 or something. Oh, I don't know, but like about 15 years ago or whatever. But hi, sweetie. But so they pull her away, and the moment she goes away, there's payphones because back in the day, the cell phones never had service in general, like in the hospital. So there's these payphones, and he just walks over there, and then he gets on the phone. He's talking to someone because he had a beeper still at the time too, or whatever. And then he comes back or whatever, and my mom's like, "Bud, why are you on the phone?" You know what I mean? Because she's all sad, we're all stressed out because it's scary. And then he turns to me, he goes, "Melissa, business never quits." And I was like, you know what I mean? It was the first story I told my sister when she came out of surgery, when she was like, like coherent. And so that was like, that was the first tattoo that I got one in my lip, but the first like visible tattoo I got. And then I tattooed on my sister after I went through my tattoo apprenticeship. So
it's like the most, it's the most admirable. It's like, it's so respectful.
Oh, let's give me a hug. Oh yeah. Thank you, sweetie. Oh, if you bite me.
Nah,
you're doing
he's just like, no, he's like, if he's by me,
oh, sorry.
it's fucking on.
Protect.
But he's trying to go to you.
Oh, I'm sad, honey. I'm sad.
I think that I just want to make sure that I cover it
Thank
all.
you.
And
I wish I had something to give you.
I think that's really it. I mean, I want to, if there's anything that I missed, if there's anything that
we'll do a round 2 if you missed.
But yeah, but if there's anything that like I missed that you're like, damn, I want people to know that about, this album or this time period or that part of your life. This is like, and that's not something that like I can choose for you.
Oh yeah. That is an excellent question. I think if I put myself back into that mindset, like, kind of close your eyes and kind of go back in time, I think it was like, actually, I can't even say that it was like the best time of my life by any means, because I think it's the most grounding, like you learn what life, how people can be and everything. I think that's the best thing too. But it was a lot of fun, Don't drink too much alcohol, even though I taught you guys how to spell alcohol. But, but like I got to live life, like at that time with like, my sister, best friend, and like travel the world. But I know that the way you're asking is just like, I think that feeling of being free, the moment you're like a teenager and you feel like that little bit of freedom, like that's a great feeling when you can try to like start making decisions for yourself, even if it's bad or good, you got to learn at one point. But I don't know. I loved getting to dress how I wanted to dress, like the freedom of that, I think. And that was that perfect time to do so. And you find the friends that want to be around you rather than the forced friendships that you have to have. Like if you have I was on golf, they're sweet, but like, I was forced to, hang out with certain things. Parents put you with certain birthday parties, certain people you have to hang out with. And it was the first time I got to choose what I wanted to look like, who I wanted to be around, and like what made me happy too, in a nice way.
That's a perfect answer. That's a perfect answer. I mean, like you, that was that you were growing up.
Yeah, no matter like, even if it was like if someone was like more emo or whatever, or even country, whatever. But you get to choose that time frame during that time. I think it was finally you didn't have to be forced like. Like I said, I went to Catholic school. Like you didn't have to be forced to do this, And like I said, I got not expelled. I promise I didn't get expelled. But I had to go home from school because my mom, she let me though, but I wanted to be seen or whatever. And I bleached one spot. It was like right here, just like this small amount of hair. And at the school, you weren't allowed to have any kind of hair color that wasn't your hair color. So let's just say I was like white, that person couldn't have black hair. So like I wouldn't be allowed to be blonde. You can have highlights sometimes, but if it was like whatever, but because that wasn't my natural hair color, I wasn't allowed to have it. And it was only one spot too. like, what if I had like, you know, the disease you have, like, you know,
Dude, you were.
But yeah, but I got, but they called my mom and I had to leave school until I died it back. And my mom's like, well, I let her do it. You know what I mean? Because my mom knew, like, you know, like the whole scene thing was going on.
Dude, I mean, you're a perfect example of like.
I was like, okay. I was like, yeah.
Like, dude, you're a perfect example of like doing what you think you believe in and doing what you think is fun and doing like living life the way that you wanted to live life and
do what you want to a certain degree, obviously. But yeah, but do what you want, you
and
know,
what you believe in.
Yeah,
it sounds
exactly. That's exactly what
like
I
literally like.
I have it. That was the first tattoo I did on myself after my apprenticeship. I said, I do what I want, and that's what we turned it into the song. The Party Like a Millionaire. I do what I want. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know. No,
yeah.
I know.
I'm sure you've heard it once or twice.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just a couple times.
Yeah. Just once.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this.
Thank
I
you
would love
guys.
to
Thank you too.
have you anytime you want to, whatever. I am so intrigued in, I don't think I touched on a lot of the things that like I wanted to because it didn't really have to do with the time period. And I really wanted to like
other
I really
aspects.
I really wanted to stay on that time period.
This makes sense, though, because the When We Were Young is coming up too. So yeah, come say hi to me at When We Were Young.
All right, and
You're gonna come. You better be.
We're doing Vegas.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
We're doing Zook, and then we're doing some other stuff. You know, maybe do some other shit.
Okay, and try to one up me. Okay,
no, I don't know. It's not. This is like I said. This is not about me. This is not about me. This is about you.
So I'm here with Morgan. So what
All
are you
right,
gonna be doing?
Melissa Mary Gay, thank you so much for coming on. I love you. I'm so inspired by you, and I really urge everybody that, like, you know, if you whether you know Millionaires or this is the first time that you are hearing about Millionaires, look into it and look into how much that they probably changed your life. All right.
You're too sweet. Love
Bye.
you guys.